Welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics of Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interests. Thank you everyone for joining me. Last week we spoke about America's rejections, Russia welcoming Iraq, oil resumptions, U.S. ambassador back in Iraq along with Janine Plachert from the United Nations, displacement people files, and dozens protesting the CBI. Let's jump into this week's headlines. And according to Shafak News, in summary, the Future Iraq's Foundation reports that the assets of 8 private Iraqi banks has increased by 108% from 2019 to 2023, reaching over $13 trillion. The increase is attributed to a 131% rise in deposits, with these banks bringing their total assets to 8.8 trillion dinars. Additionally, the Future reports that the bank's revenue increased by 285%, reaching 908 billion dinars by the end of 2023. The Central Bank of Iraq has directed licensed banks to improve customer service and address inappropriate employee behavior. The bank has received complaints about negative practice towards customers, particularly security and defense forces. According to the report, if complaints continue, the bank will be held accountable and face consequences. The reports prepared by the central bank and private bank committees on the country's financial policy. The committee emphasizes the importance of following economic measures and tax automations as the basic for finance and economy. The committee discussed the reasons for high dollar exchange rates, the need to control the labor markets, and the importance of attracting investors and traders. The committee also listed the report on the policy of the central bank and private banks in function in financial trading and the development of packages to address financial policy changes. Checking the CBI daily helps know the price of the in-country exchange rate, which is $13.10 today. Always do your diligence and check for yourself. Reminding everyone that Iraq is on a programmed rate. Our goal is for Iraq to return to an international rate, which is why I call it a reinstatement versus a revaluation. You can always look up the CBI for changes. Former Audit Bureau head Shalay Nouri predicts changes in expected revenues for the 3, he called it bananas, in the Iraqi budget. The next year's budget was approved during the vote on the 3-year budget. The Iraqi Council of Representatives voted on the draft general budget law for fiscal year 2023, 2024, and 2025. Prime Minister Mauzer Mohammed Shalay's financial and economic advisor emphasized the importance of issuing the economic reform law for promoting wealth from outside oil wealth. The Iraq Fund for Development will work with the government's curriculum to manage internal sovereignty wealth funds and manage materials and human resources. The article highlights the importance of economic reform laws. It aims at promoting wealth beyond oil with the Iraqi Fund for Developing, managing sovereign wealth funds and resources. Reform laws have to finish in order to reinstate Iraq's currency. Without the laws completed, you will not see the reinstatement. And according to an article put out on X platform, formerly known as Twitter, Earth News reports 23 cases that will be filed before international courts against people wanted for corruption. And we've had a lot of news coming out around the banking procedures and list of facilities. Banking reforms are a priority. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani has held a meeting to discuss banking reform measures, directing the simplifications of all banking procedures and preparations, a proposed list of facilities to submit within a week. The meeting was part of a government plan to implement financial and administrative reforms in the financial and banking sector. The Sudanese Information Office stated that the financial reforms is not just a slogan, but a series of vocabulary and procedures that the government is determined to implement without hesitation. And does Washington have control over the dollar crisis? And will money be reprinted? The Kurdistan Regional Government has adopted the Iraqi dollar for custom duties at all border crossings, replacing the US dollar, according to a document from the Council of Ministers. They're saying that any violations will result in legal actions. A Kurdish delegation visited Baghdad to discuss salaries and budget issues. The delegation has met with the Finance Committee and Iraqi Council representatives. The Kurdish Minister of Finance will be a part of delegations. The Kurdish deputy, Sareen Amar, revealed that the Baghdad government has not reached a legal agreement with the Kurds Regional Government Committee to send funds under the 3-year budget. The region delays the payments of 3-month salaries with a loan, and the fate of the salaries remains unclear. And Parliamentary Finance Committee denies the government's intention to print a new local currency and has highlighted the U.S. federal bank's influence on the continuation of the dollar crisis in Iraq. Committee member Moeen Al-Kazimi stated that addressing the discrepancy in the dollar exchange rate requires thoughtful steps and that the central bank's office price is 132,000 dinars for every $100. The Council of Ministers increased oil exports in the Iraqi-Chinese framework agreement to 150,000 barrels per day and approved a national license for 5G technology for Al Salam General Company. They also discussed government priorities and approved the 21st Amendment law of the owner law. This will create more jobs. And there's been a lot of banking information this week. The Parliamentary Finance Committee has deemed the Central Bank of Iraq's decision to raise interest rates for the bank depositors as a step towards revitalizing the banking system. The decision aligns with the banking reform measures and Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani's directives. The increase will encourage citizens to deposit in banks, stimulate financial movement, and reduce the dollar exchange rate against the Iraqi dinar. And Russia settles debt with Iraq. Sudan's Prime Minister Sabha al-Malajed announced that Mohammed Shia al-Sudani's visit to Russia has resolved its debt to Iraq and outlines the Prime Minister's plan for Washington. The Sudanese government is focused on resolving its strategic agreement with America, which is based on technology, weapons, and equipment rather than combat forces. The Sudanese government is eager to see the second phase of America, which includes industrial, culture, and economic aspects, as its military phases has become tedious for Iraqis. The U.S. military loans and aid to Iraq amounts to up to $2 billion, and Iraq has its sovereign decision to meet its interests. The Sudanese government has been working on various paths despite difficulties with the service effort teams establishing to avoid routine and budget problems. The government has also made progress in electoral connections with Jordan and the Gulf, reducing corruption, and won excellence in international and regional relations. The Development Road project is set to begin in the second year, and the banking sector is moving towards localization and the private sector revival. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith with your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics of Iraq. I bring you the latest in our news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, but you can also join us on Patreon, where we're there daily. So don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. So if you like my content, you can give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always seed a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section below. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar News. I'll see you all next week. Take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.